Hi folks, how are you doing? I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in the northwest of England in Altrincham and in Urmston. I'm offering this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, the spirit and the soul. It is titled, Know Yourself, Become What You Are. So I invite us just to still ourselves together now in silence. Let's invite a loving presence to be here amongst us and to awaken from deep, deep within us all. I have lit the flame of freedom in this cup of belonging, acceptance and love. Come enter this time and space in the spirit of love. Know that you are welcome, welcome whoever you are, wherever you have been, wherever you may well yet be. Know that you are welcome as you are, exactly as you are. But do not expect to leave in exactly the same condition. In this time, may we be reminded of our highest aspirations and to be inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know that we are not isolated beings, but that we're connected in mystery and miracle, connected to the universe, connected to one another, to all life. So let us live in the spirit of love. Amen. A while ago I was listening to a talk on identity, how our upbringing shape who we are, good or bad. It wasn't the most gripping that I've ever heard, but about halfway through I heard something that was rather wonderful, which I hope is true. But I've not yet been able to verify it, so it might not be, it might be one of these apocryphal tales. But apparently there's a tradition among some of the Bantu of South Africa where people sneak into the rooms of their children at night as they sleep, and they whisper in their ears, "Become what you are." Become what you are. I thought to myself how wonderful it must be to have that song singing in your soul as you grew and developed. It got me thinking about who or what I am, who or what I have been, or who or what I might yet become. Because you see, throughout our lives we never stop becoming, or maybe unbecoming, I suppose. I try not to be too unbecoming these days. It got me thinking about who we are, what shapes us. Is it in our environment, our ancestry, our culture? How do we become who or what we are? Is there someone or something whispering in our ears, "Become what you are"? Is there? Well, no doubt our upbringings have an influence. We learn how to be social animals, don't we? We learn by copying the elders, the others in our lives, those that came before us. If you think about it, our early days are kind of a great big game of follow my leader. Do you remember playing that when you were a kid, when you were a child? In many ways, our whole culture is a little bit based upon this idea of following, learning from others. That to be successful, you have to look and be a certain way. Just think about how the whole advertising industry kind of is driven, thrives on this sense of dissatisfaction because we're not living up to the lives that we're supposed to be living up to. That this is apparently a good thing, that by seeing what's wrong with us we'll somehow become better people. Aren't we visually bombarded and our ears constantly blasted by this ideal of what we ought to be? And don't we all follow to some degree or another, even if we're not consciously aware of doing so? If only someone or something was whispering in our ears as we slept at night, "Become what you are." Never mind who you are or who we are. Become what you are. Perhaps some of the things we follow are not truly who or what we are. And sometimes to stop following unhelpful patterns and ways of being takes all the courage that a person can muster. Become what you are. Now, to become what you are requires us to know what you are. For centuries, philosophers have been telling us to know thyself. Socrates learned the motto from the ancient oracle at Delphi. Of course, it's suggested that for the ancient Greeks, to know thyself is actually just to know that you are mortal, that you are not a god. The greatest danger for the ancient Greeks was the danger of hubris, the danger in believing that you're somehow a god, that you are immortal, to forget that you're a mortal human. There are great gifts in being a mortal human, we just don't seem to want them somehow. Meanwhile, in China, the sage Lao Tzu said, "He who knows others is wise, but he who knows himself is enlightened." Rabbi Zushia told his followers that on the day of judgment he expected the following inquiry, not "Why were you not like Moses?" but rather, "Why were you not more like Zushia?" In the Gospel of Thomas, one of the sayings of Jesus was, "When you come to know yourself, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, you will dwell in poverty." So it seems it's pretty vital to know ourselves. That's what the great and the good have been saying for centuries, for millenniums. Discovering who you truly are is found in many of the great stories, whether they're the fairy tales, the fables, all those great tales. Just think of the ugly duckling who becomes the beautiful swan, the beggar who is actually a prince, the rejected stepsister who is the one who wins the prince's heart. You see, discovering who you truly are is like uncovering an unsuspected treasure, something you didn't know you had, that bestows value and meaning on the rest of life, and which you possessed all along. The great stories describe going out on adventures that always lead the journeyer to return home with treasure to share. Jack and the Beanstalk. You see, the treasure was always there deep within all along. The secret is to uncover the treasure. But these are not painless journeys. To truly know ourselves can seem like the hardest journey of them all. That said, it's not just knowing ourselves. We have to live our authentic lives, not only for ourselves, but for the good of society as a whole. To live our finite lives as a part of the infinite whole. To know that you're mortal. That's the gift in being mortal. Know thyself. Know that you are mortal. Become what you are. What though if being who we are or what we are is unacceptable? In the past, gay people were considered unacceptable. Even when it was no longer illegal, it was still difficult for many people to come to terms with who they were due to fear of direct rejection. This led to a great deal of pain for many over the years. Still does. Gender identity is the next frontier of acceptance. Can we as a society accept people as they are and thus allow them to accept who they are themselves? Hiding any aspect of our humanity is always destructive. As the worship leader of the communities I serve, when I say come as you are, exactly as you are, I mean it, I really do. Although I do like to add, but do not expect to leave in exactly the same condition, because I mean that too. I hope everyone who comes to the communities I serve feels accepted, wanted, needed and loved as they are, exactly as they are. For this is true love, perfect love, love without condition. It is important to feel that we are accepted in order to truly accept others. If you cannot accept who you are, you cannot accept how the other is too. To know yourself is a vital aspect of the spiritual life. Why, some may ask? Well, because the more that we know ourselves, and just as importantly are able to accept ourselves, then the easier it will be to see the truth about life. This is about truth about life, and to accept one another. Conversely, The less we know ourselves and are able to accept who we truly are, the more distorted our perceptions of life and others will be, and the less likely it will be that we can accept one another. As I've already said, this is not merely a concern of we who live today. The ancient sages were all concerned with this. There is great wisdom in Lao Tzu's saying, knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom. And self-knowledge takes us beyond mere information into that elusive thing called wisdom. Wisdom that can never be attained, no matter how intelligent we may think we are, if we remain ignorant about ourselves. You can know the whole world, gain every bit of knowledge about life, but if you don't know what's in your heart, it means nothing. It's empty, it's nothing. You could just repeat an information, really. To know yourself is much deeper. And it means you can truly know others then. Jesus was touching on a similar theme to Lao Tzu when he said, "Why do you see the speck in your neighbour's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye?" Only by becoming aware of and dealing with our own shortcomings, he was saying, will we be able to see clearly enough to be helpful to others too. In other words, know yourself. To know yourself is to accept yourself, warts and all, and beauty spots too. When we become aware of the log in our own eye, we won't make the mistake of going around trying to fix other people. Rather, we will relate to them with the compassion that comes from having faced our own struggles honestly. And without such compassion, healing never happens. It just can't happen. Hence the line that I like to say most Sundays, in fact I probably say it every week, but do not expect to leave in exactly the same condition. Knowing ourselves also opens the door to our freedom. When we are ignorant of the belief systems, assumptions and behavioural patterns that are operating within us, we remain in captivity to them, unable to make wise decisions for ourselves, unable to overcome the self-limitations that may have been instilled in us, unable to recognise that we are being manipulated by those who may consciously or unconsciously seek to activate our fear and prejudice for their own purposes. Just look at the world. It happens all around us. The more we come to know ourselves, the more we will be able to invite healing and transformation into our lives, to embody compassion, to face our challenges as opportunities for growth, and to experience life as a meaningful adventure, and to be of service to others, to walk with them as they know themselves too. But it's not painless. It's a painstaking journey. It can take a lot of pain. I've been rediscovering, relearning, uncovering new truths the last 2 or 3 weeks, but it ain't been painless. But somehow I feel as the result of that I can be of better service to others. Hopefully it will improve me as a minister and as a friend, as a human being. But we shall see. Time will tell. But if there's one thing I've learnt, it's that it's never too late. Actually, I suspect that it's probably only later in life that we finally get to know ourselves. And a wonderful example of this can be found in the following poem, Now I Become Myself, by May Sarton. Now I Become Myself, by May Sarton. Now I become myself. It's taken time, many years and places. I have been dissolved and shaken, worn other people's faces. Run madly as if time were there, terribly old, crying a warning. Hurry, you will be dead before, what? Before you reach the morning? Or the end of the poem is clear, or love safe in the walled city? Now it will stand still to be here, feel my own weight and density. The black shadow on the paper is my hand, the shadow of a word. As thought shapes the shaper, falls heavy on the pages heard. All fuses now falls into place, from wish to action, word to silence. My work, my love, my time, my face, gathered into one intense gesture of growing like a plant, as slowly as the ripening fruit, fertile, detached, and always spent. Falls but does not exhaust the root, so all the poem is can give grows in me to become it the song, made so and rooted by love. Now there is time, and time is young. Oh, in this single hour I live, all of myself and do not move. I the pursued who madly ran, stand still, and stop the sun. To know thyself, to be who and what we truly are, who we were born to be, is no easy task. Sarton wrote this poem when she was 83 years old. It would seem that it took her a long time to truly know herself and become who she really was. It is no easy task to know yourself, to be who and what we truly are, to live openly, to live whole and holy lives, to find our path of authentic service in the world, to see, you see, we learn by following others. On the day we're born, we learn to be like those others that we are surrounded by, those who made us who we are, rather than becoming who we truly are. It takes a long time to let go of the stabilizers of others and become wholly ourselves. For Miss Sarton, actually, it only began after the death of her parents during her middle age. Actually, probably about the age I am now. Which I don't like to admit to, by the way, but about that age. But this is the key, of course. This is what it means to live holy lives. This is how we become a holy and authentic presence in the world. This is how we serve the world by our presence. And you know what? It's never too late. It can begin right here, right now. Miss Sarton was 83 years old when she wrote Now I Know Myself. Maybe we only become our true selves at the end of our physical being, at the end of our mortal life. Know thyself, know that you are mortal. That said, we need to begin somewhere. And the only place to begin is right here, right now, of course. Right here, right now is the only place we can not only know ourselves, but truly be ourselves and to offer our unique gift to life. Let's do it, folks. Can it be so? Well, let's make it so. Amen. So I'm going to end with some final words of blessing. You know, we don't bless enough. We ought to bless more, and everyone can bless with their loving presence. Why not try offering blessings throughout this day and in the days to come? But let's just still ourselves one final time while I offer some words of blessing. Go now in peace, touched by this time together. Ask of yourself and ask of life the beautiful questions. Be open to what life may offer. And in return, you never know, you might just begin to live your way into some answers. Maybe, just maybe. Be open. So may the blessings of God go with us all, in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Amen.